You've crushed your numbers for years. Your team consistently outperforms every other division. Your sales strategies have become case studies for the company. Yet somehow that VP of Sales title remains frustratingly out of reach. Sound familiar? Here's the cold, hard truth that nobody tells you. Becoming a vice president of sales isn't just about sales excellence. It's about mastering the invisible game happening in conference rooms you haven't been invited to yet. There are over 917 sales vice presidents in the USA, and 84.8% of them are men. The VP of Sales, beyond just another sales title. First, let's clarify what a true VP of Sales actually does, because it's not just managing a bigger team. Architecting the entire sales machine. You're building systems, not just working within them. Translating the CEO's vision into executable sales strategies across regions and verticals, driving revenue growth while protecting those precious margins, building bridges between sales, marketing, product, and finance. Creating a talent pipeline that extends beyond your immediate team. This means you can close deals like a superhero and still lack the cross-functional perspective needed at the executive level. The hidden barriers. Why star performers get stuck. 1. The performance versus perception. Gap Natalia was the top-performing sales director at a SaaS company for 3 consecutive years. Her team consistently delivered 30% above quota. Yet when the VP position opened, the company brought in an external candidate with half her track record, but twice her visibility. Why? Because Natalia believed her numbers spoke for themselves, while the external hire had been featured in industry publications, presented at conferences, and cultivated relationships with board members. In other words, Natalia's thought process, brand, and exposure were local and small, while the external candidate's perceived capability was large, bright, and more polished, at least on the surface. Solution. Create quarterly state of sales updates for cross-functional leaders and how to bring additional synergy to grow together. Package your wins in executive-ready formats with clear business impact, and always think bigger than your job description. Volunteer to present at all-hands meetings to increase visibility. Your brand grows faster when everyone else is trying to play it safe and stay under the radar. Courage is a rare virtue in the corporate world. 2. The politics. Avoidance syndrome. Many talented sales leaders pride themselves on staying above the fray and avoiding office politics. But here's the uncomfortable reality. Politics isn't just gossip and game playing, it's how organizations actually function. Corporate political acumen is what turns a VP of sales into a CEO. Politics is an art form of negotiation, seeing around the corner, and painting multiple desired pictures through stories and data. It's all about turning disasters into growth strategies. Consider Tony, who led his division to record numbers but refused to play the game. Meanwhile, his peer Laura, with similar results, built strategic alliances with the CFO, head of product, and the CEO's chief of staff. When restructuring happened, Jessica received a promotion while Tony remained in place. Self-branding allows you to occupy real estate in people's minds that can change your life. Why would a CEO promote someone whom he is not familiar with when he can promote someone he feels he knows? Performance rarely matters during promotions. It's all about emotions. Solution. Identify key decision makers and power centers in your organization and volunteer to help them with their job. Once they trust your capability, they will reward you and push you upwards. Schedule regular coffee chats with leaders outside of sales, have a drink with them, pay for lunch, be a good mentee, and a great confidential listener. Find ways to help other departments succeed through sales insights and reach out to them when no one else does to get noticed. Always do a great job. The word will spread fast and you will get noticed by their bosses. Get to know people across functions who can affect your growth path. VPs have a broad vision. Don't limit yourself to your dinner table, job function. Shake everyone's hands. Corporations are just like big restaurants. You cannot get to the chef unless the chef's waiter says something about you to the maitre d', who will talk to the chef about you. It's all about relationships, value, and potential. 3. The boss paradox. Liking isn't promoting. Here's something rarely discussed. You may love your boss, and they may genuinely like you too, but they might still be the reason you're not advancing. Take Terry's story. For 5 years, he and his sales director had an excellent relationship.
They worked well together, socialized occasionally, and David received glowing reviews.
But when Terry expressed interest in moving up, his boss was surprisingly silent.
Why?
Because Terry's promotion would create a gap his boss wasn't prepared to fill, and because his boss had never actually imagined Terry at the executive level. Solution: have explicit career conversations with your boss beyond annual reviews. Be clear, share your ambitions early and often. Read their body language when you express your desires. If they are lukewarm, ask why and what you can do to improve your chances. Seek specific feedback on executive readiness, not just performance. Learn what skills you lack and work on them non-stop. Build relationships with your boss's peers to create multiple paths upward. If your boss may be an obstacle because he needs your current performance, promote yourself to his peers and bosses by getting involved in projects that will put you in the limelight at the national level. Use LinkedIn to congratulate them on social events, promotions, etc. Get noticed often, but keep it 100% professional at all times. Consider whether your current manager has the influence to champion your advancement. If not, roll your sleeves up and get involved in internal projects that will get you noticed. Do it often, and promotion follows people who build their brands within the company logo. 4. The strategy shortfall. Directors excel at execution, hitting this quarter's targets, optimizing the sales process, and coaching reps. But VPs think differently. Market trends, business models, competitive landscapes, and long-term positioning are part of the daily thinking routine. During one executive presentation, 2 sales directors pitched expansion plans. The first showed detailed projections for hitting targets with the new headcount. Solid strategy, but kind of rusty. The second discussed how industry consolidation created an opportunity to capture market share while competitors integrated recent acquisitions. Which one sounded like VP material to you? The latter, of course. Solution: start thinking like a CRO, connecting sales to broader business metrics. Think like an owner. If you are in sales, you have a somewhat retail mindset. Marketing is more about wholesale thinking. Operations is about flow thinking. And finance is about vital signs thinking. However, none would exist without the other. So, why not think and get involved in all these disciplines to learn and add value by understanding how they work better together? Be a specialist with a generalist mindset. Study your industry and competition systematically, not anecdotally. Dig deep. Become better than your peers, competitors, and boss by studying the industry areas that keeps your executives up at night.
If you understand their worries, you'll be noticed quickly by the type of questions you ask and the answers you come up with.
Present forward-looking insights alongside backward-looking results. History repeats itself. Look 2 steps behind, but focus on looking multiple steps forward at a 360-degree angle.
There are many doers in the corporate world, but few true thinkers.
Be one. 5. The executive presence gap. Tom led his region to a record-breaking performance for 6 quarters straight. In team settings, he was charismatic and inspiring. But in executive meetings, he rambled, used filler words, and struggled to articulate complex ideas concisely. Meanwhile, a peer with weaker numbers but sharper communication skills and presence caught the CEO's attention and was quickly promoted. Solution: invest in professional communication training. Nothing can get you quicker into the highest echelon of the corporate ladder. Communication skills are the golden currency to upper management. Practice articulating complex ideas in simple, strategic frameworks. Frame complex problems in their simplest form so that a child can understand them. Record yourself in meetings to identify communication patterns. Self-study, rehearsals, and repetition will transform you from an average speaker to someone everyone listens to when you speak. Speak with fewer words, but paint better. More memorable pictures with great questions and storytelling. Find a C-suite mentor to polish your executive presence. You may have to prove that you are worthy to get a volunteer willing to invest in you. But once you find one who is overprepared all the time, makes their life easy, and gives them all the credit they deserve, they will influence those in charge of your career. 7. Strategic moves to fast-track your VP journey. 1. Create visible wins beyond your job description. When the marketing team struggled with converting leads, Tara didn't just complain. She created a sales marketing alignment task force that increased conversion rates by 40%.
This cross-functional leadership got her noticed by the C-suite in ways that simply hitting her numbers never would. 2. Become multilingual. Across departments. The most promotable sales leaders speak the language of marketing, finance, product, and customer success fluently.
When the CFO mentions CAC, customer acquisition cost ratios, or the product team talks about development sprints, can you engage meaningfully? Start learning now. 3. Transform from data user to data storyteller. Anyone can pull reports. VP track leaders transform data into narratives that drive decisions. Instead of reporting, "We closed 22 deals," demonstrate how your team's approach to enterprise clients increased average deal size by 32% while reducing the sales cycle by 15%.
Stories last in the minds of people in charge longer than any piece of data. 4.
Build your replacement, not just a team.
VPs aren't individual contributors with fancy titles. They're force multipliers who create systems and develop leaders. Start documenting your approaches, creating playbooks, and most importantly, mentoring at least one person who could step into your role.
Yes, your goal is simple. Hire the best people, develop them, and mold your replacement. That is it.
5. Control your narrative. How are you perceived when you're not in the room?
Eric discovered during a casual conversation that the executive team saw him as a great closer, but not strategic enough for senior leadership. This insight allowed him to deliberately reshape that perception over the course of 6 months through strategic contributions.
You must first change for others to change their ingrained perceptions. 6. Make your ambitions known. Tanya assumed her performance made her VP aspirations obvious, until a peer with similar results was promoted instead. When she finally expressed her goals to her manager, she discovered they had no idea she wanted to advance to that level. 9 months later, she was leading a special strategic initiative that eventually led to her promotion. 7. Know when to make a strategic jump. Sometimes the path up is blocked by factors beyond your control, such as a newly hired VP with a 5-year contract, a company too small to support multiple sales VPs, or entrenched leadership with no plans to retire. Harold hit this ceiling after 4 stellar years as a director. Rather than settling, he leveraged his track record to secure a VP role at a smaller company, then returned to a larger organization at the SVP level 2 years later. The uncomfortable truth about rising to VP. The journey to VP isn't always fair or linear. Unlike individual contributor roles, where results directly drive advancement, executive paths require stellar performance, the baseline expectation. Political navigation, whether you like it or not. Strategic visibility, self-branding, and self-promotion. Cross-functional relationship building, executive communication skills. The most successful sales leaders don't just sell products, they methodically sell themselves as the obvious next executive in waiting.
Remember, in the words of one CEO I interviewed, "I don't promote people to VP because they're good at their current job. I promote them because they're already operating at the next level before they have the title." Are you a VP material? Get to work and see you at the top.